You know, today we're going to be looking at the 23rd Psalm, which is not so much a psalm about the valleys of life as it is about the shepherd. And I thought, what better way to learn about the shepherd than to start out by taking a little look at sheep. So I'm over here at Green Oaks Ranch, and we've got some sheep with us, and I just want to tell you a little about these animals. I kind of wish God had maybe chosen to call us, say, eagles or rhinos or anything but sheep, because the truth of the matter is, sheep are dumb. J.D. Larson, one of the pastors on our staff, was telling us this week about an experience his dad had one Christmas Eve. It was a wet snow that came in, followed by a chilling wind, and his sheep were so dumb that instead of going into the barn, what they did is they just kind of huddled over and laid down on the ground. And of course, when the ice formed, they were stuck. So his dad had to spend the entire day and on into the next evening prying all of the sheep loose. And some of them were so dumb, they were kind of thankful when they got up. They'd look around, they'd take a few steps, and they'd roll over on the other side only to freeze up again. In fact, they've been known to jump off cliffs. My mom, when I was growing up, used to ask me, I bet yours did too, hey, if everybody else jumped off a cliff, would you? Well, if I'd been a sheep, guess what I would have said? Sure. You know, there's stories of up to 450 of them following one another right off the edge of a cliff. And in fact, in one story I read from Turkey, 450 of them went over and 1,500 followed, but none of them died because they landed on a nice, thick, woolly cushion. They're dumb. On top of that, they're incredibly skittish. You know, we want to come, oh, well, and they're gone. Yep, they're so skittish they'll run at anything. But again, they're so dumb. I saw on the web this week a picture where out of the front windshield, some people were chasing some sheep, and the sheep ran for about a quarter of a mile along the roadway, even though there was open pasture everywhere around them. But they saw a road in front of them, and instead of getting off to be able to find their freedom, they just kept following the road with all of its turns, and even at a fork in the road, they chose one side over the other. Worse than that, sheep don't even know what's good for them. You know, they'll walk right past the food they're supposed to eat something that'll kill them. Not knowing what's good for them, they'll stay in a line. And again, in New Zealand, there's reports of them standing in line behind other sheep that are getting their throats slit, as if they're waiting and saying, well, when is my turn? And they're totally incapable of caring for themselves. I've never heard of a wild sheep, and I know you haven't as well. And yet that's what God chose to call us, and thankfully chose to call himself a shepherd. Well, so much for sheep right now. I've got to tend briefly to a couple of my other little pets, and we'll get on with this sermon. All right, this is my little llama buddy. I used to raise them as well. In fact, I want you to take a good look at his nice little front teeth. Okay, you go bug Chris, all right? Come on, buddy, you go bug Chris.